So I can explain a little bit about where I started with my quilts. I got off my daughter's bed today. She's 12, and when she was a baby, when I was pregnant, I started making a blanket because I find quilting is part of the process of life. There are processes that we need to work through, and I guess for me, that was kind of like my wedding dress. I made my wedding dress, and I did embroider my wedding dress actually in silk, but it was part of the process. It was my way of getting a handle on the process. So when I was pregnant and fat, well, I was quite round, I started making this little blankie for my first child. This one's been really loved. As you can see, it's shredded, and it bears actually no resemblance to the original blankie, but it's so loved. She still sleeps with it. My roots are in traditional quilting, and I did learn. This was my attempt at learning to work with a star pattern and some traditional. I guess it's more traditional blocks, but of course I can't follow a pattern. Marilyn Stewart Struthers was doing a workshop at Quilt Canada in Winnipeg one year, and I joined her class, and she was doing quilt canvases, she called them, and putting fibre into the same context as fine art or painting hanging on the wall. My new work is very different. I'm working at finding ways to blend my painting and quilting together because I don't want to give up either practice. I find my painting informs my quilting and vice versa. So I'm looking at ways of transferring my painterly signature to fabric without changing the texture of the fabric that I'm working with. And I've been looking at commercial processes, so I'm actually printing and scanning and on a large scale and working with the details, because in my painting I find that there are compositions within compositions that I'm attracted to. Something new always begins from what was left over from the last. So that was kind of where I first started. And then at that point I had gone to Chicago and met seen some art quilts, and then I had gone to Houston with the next quilt flourish. But in the meantime, this is the Kay Facet workshop that I had done, which my cat loves, and it's fading in the sun somewhat, but it was just a remarkable day. So this quilt flourish was a fabric interpretation of my paintings rather, in quilt form. It was collage, it was fun, it was painful at times because it's almost an engineering feat. I gather groups of fabric together and trying to find colour patterns and colourways. I don't want anything to line up. I don't want it to be, I want it to be well made, well constructed, but I don't want it to follow a formula or a pattern. I've been lucky enough to be included in some juried shows. The 75th anniversary for the Manitoba Craft Museum and Library was a nice honour. I appreciated being a part of that. I was the Manitoba Crafts Council recently is getting back up and running, and I had one of my quilts was involved in that show, which I was really proud to be part of. There are lots of quilters, and more art quilters, and I guess we all start with the traditional roots, and we're inspired by the frugality of where quilting began and the patterning. But art quilting in the last 10 years has really taken off as a medium in its own. So I'm always inspired by the depth and breadth of art quilting currently.